Hello there and welcome back to a brand new Star Wars action figure review. Today we'll be taking a look at the Hasbro Star Wars The Black Series Empire Strikes Back 40th Anniversary Collection Wave 1. There are 3 waves total, but Hasbro's done us a favor and has divided them into 3 parts. So it's really just one giant wave, but they've just released them at separate times. I think that differs a little bit with how they released the Episode 4 A New Hope collection. I think it was in 2017. Correct me if I'm wrong, or I could just Google it. I probably won't though, so correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, we have this. It's a little easier for me to review in thirds anyways. So we'll be taking a look at the Luke Skywalker from Bespin when he fought Vader, the Yoda from Dagobah when he got his lightsaber back apparently, the Leia from Hoth, the Han Solo from Bespin, and Hoth. He also wore the outfit on Hoth, and the AT-AT driver, or AT-AT driver, however you say it. Whichever way is totally okay. People say both ways. I feel obligated to review the figures in the order that they're listed on the box, so that's why I've lined them up this way. If it was up to me, I would have Luke probably in the middle. Though, if I'm totally honest, this lineup isn't really the ideal lineup for any display, so it looks really partial regardless. But we're going to get into Luke right now because I don't want to make this video super unnecessarily long. Just know there are more reviews of this wave coming, and there's a third wave that I've already pre-ordered from Entertainment Earth. That one has Vader, the Snowtrooper, Boba Fett, Chewbacca, and I don't know. Brain fart. Luke. There's another Luke. We have 3 of them. So fun. Anyhow, here's the Luke. I don't like the Luke. I don't want to talk about the Luke, but I have the Luke here, so I have to talk about him. This is the better Luke. And this Luke didn't even come with this head. The head that came with this Luke sucked. But the body on this Luke is way better. So, I have a lot of issues with Black Series figures. In general, just the predisposition of them has faults in my eyes, and Hasbro has, for the most part, failed to address them, because even though they've made revisions to like the knee joints that I don't really like, they're still putting out figures with resculpts with the same knee joints. So it's like they're mending some of their mistakes and then they're just repeating them anyways. So anyhow, I have to talk about the packaging first. The packaging is god-awful. I hate to be negative. I mean, at first I thought the packaging was like the coolest part. Because that's why we're buying these, right? The packaging, it looks cool and authentic and old. And if you're old, you remember it. And you like it. This one's not really old. It's actually new. I'll show you. This is the Vintage Collection Luke card. Just came out alongside this one. And this is a 3 3/4 inch. This is a 6 inch. This is the original Bespin Luke image from early 80s. Taken straight from the film. Super grainy, low resolution, kind of caca quality, but it's what they had, and they used it, and that's part of history now, so we have to deal with it. I do know that after Kenner used this photo, they went ahead, they revised it, and they took, I think, 2 or 3 different variants. So if you're buying original Kenner Lukes, like this Luke, you can find it with variant cards. So there's, I think, 4 cards total, if I'm correct. I'm probably not correct, but that's what I remember. But this is certainly the worst photo of the bunch, and the only reason why Hasbro did this is because it's the original, it's the first one, and I don't understand the incessant desire to feed nostalgia, because sometimes quality should exceed nostalgia, but it just isn't here. So what they went ahead and did is, instead of just using one of the 3 other images, or even any other photo from Empire Strikes Back, they took this image and they just photoshopped it I mean, look, they used all this smudge removal and noise cleanup and level enhancement and exposure adjustment, and they smoothed his face and they spliced different images of Mark Hamill together. They don't look like the same person from the same time. It's just not the same image. So if you're gonna be picky, Hasbro, about picking the same image, then keep the same image, or don't keep it if you're gonna change it. There's also a foil sticker of Empire Strikes Back 40th. It's on all of them, so I'm only going to show it once. On the back, you have solicitation. Alright, so, oh god, I don't want to spend more than like 5 minutes on this. Well, I think we're actually about to go over that for this section of the video, so let's do this fast. There's a lot. I'm happy this one's first, because it's actually like the one I want to get past, so. Alright. So it should be noted that this body is a complete repack. It's also, I think, a repaint. I don't believe this exact paint job was used before. But I will say this texturing on the boots looks fucking odd. It looks like the old... If any of you collected Dragon Ball figures in like 2006, there was this few... I think it was Jakks Pacific that made the figures. And they did this weird textured painting with shading and weathering, and it was so odd, and this just reminds me of that. It's so weird because it doesn't quite look like dirt or like it's worn out or anything. It just looks old as shit. And I remember when he first appeared on Bespin, he looked really clean. So this figure to me looks like a figure that was made like eons ago. It looks old as shit. And Hasbro needs to remember that articulation doesn't make a figure good. Appearance makes a figure good, and that's why you guys shouldn't have gotten rid of all of the 5 POA film collection figures. Matter of fact, this Leia is one of the better Leia figures out there, and she's 5 POA, and she cost me $3 at Five Below. So, I mean, I don't know. It should never be a goal to exceed quality with articulation. But anyhow, for the sake of, I guess, valid criticism, I'm going to criticize 2 things that came out at the same time. I understand that, so this Luke, by the way, is from these came out like literally same time this year, like 3 months ago, I believe. So this is also a repack, recard, whatever. I don't know if it's a repaint. But yeah, the head's different. This head didn't come with the figure. I switched it off. This is a repack from the original Black Series Blue line. So this body's old as shit, and this body's old as shit, but this one's still better. Oh, by the way, this head is from the Luke and Yoda Dagobah training from 2004. The head naturally doesn't fit the body sculpt peg, but I put some Kleenex in there and it evens out the hole, and it actually stays on just well. Really well. This is a great figure now. So, yeah, I mean, this one just, it doesn't look like Luke. His head just doesn't look right. He looks creamy and shiny and like a weird porcelain doll with a Rolling Stones haircut. I like the Rolling Stones, but it doesn't quite look right here. If we compare, I mean, really, it's mostly the eyes, honestly, because this looks great. I mean, take a look at this. I understand that a lot of people have been getting this Yavin Luke with weird, janky eye bags, but mine looks damn good, and I'm really fond of this figure. So, no real complaints here for this face. I mean, look at that. It looks great. That looks just like what I think when I imagine Luke Skywalker. And there's this Black Series Archive Luke. Let's see. From A New Hope. That also looks like Luke. Not as good as the Yavin Luke with the yellow jacket, but damn well better than this one here. Just, it doesn't it doesn't look right. I mean, look at it. It feels so wrong, and it looks like the eyes are printed really weird. I don't know what's up with, I don't know, I don't like it. I don't like this figure at all. So yeah, just really weird, Jakks Pacific Dragon Ball looking paint job. I will say the gun holster is cool. It has a little snap, goes in right there, closes, and his gun fits his hand just fine, but for the sake of time, I'm just not even going to show that. I mean, I really don't like this figure, really don't want to spend more time on it. The lightsaber's cool. All Hasbro lightsabers are cool. It has a little hook, goes on his belt, like such, and you can take the blade off, which I'm not going to do because I don't want to. So, alright, now we're done with Luke. This guy's good. I don't know why he comes with a green lightsaber. He lost his lightsaber forever ago in Revenge of the Sith, but thank you, Hasbro. I appreciate that. Though I will say that if I was one of those purist collectors that was going to do the, you know, a lot of people, what they're doing is they're taking these figures and displaying them next to their original 3 3/4 inch Kenner figures. Or, for example, like I collected the whole second wave of the retro figures from Walmart, and it's the exact same card. I'll show you, actually, since I have these, I'll do a little comparison like I did with Luke. Same card, same deal, just orange sticker. Thank you, Hasbro. We didn't like it when you did it back then with the little offers on the pictures. We don't like it when you do it now, and you shouldn't do it just because you did it back then, because we just want to see the image. It looks pretty, and we want to look at it, and you can do that. Anyhow, there's no lightsaber in here, so there shouldn't be a lightsaber in here, because if I really cared, this would be a major, major, major problem for me. I will say off the bat, some notable difference, some notable flaw that they should figure out a way to do differently is, first of all, these bubbles are way too deep. There's a lot of space between the figure and the card, so that shouldn't be that way. There's a lot less space here, and I know, like, on the original Kenners, there was hardly any space. And even on the Wave 1 figures, the retro throwbacks, there was hardly any space. So, also, you can see his entire arm here, but here his arm's cut off because the bubble's so wide, so it's a little, I don't know, a little obtuse, kind of obstructs things, whatever, it doesn't really matter that much. Better package than Luke, because there's not all that weird fucking editing on there. Oh, also notice, it looks grainy. There's nothing wrong with grainy pictures, Hasbro. You're allowed to pick blurry pictures. The shit was filmed in the 80s, come on. So this is Yoda. He's actually great. He's also a repack, I believe, from the archive wave, so technically I have 2 archive figures because I have the X-Wing Luke and the Yoda here. But, I mean, he's good. He's just like a solid figure. Nice soft goods. Let's see some of that texturing. Let's go. There we go. He looks great. The eyes look great. The face looks great. The printing's just damn solid. The hair looks really good. If you look close, you can see some halftone gradation on the printing there, but that's just, I guess, the nature of texture printing. The soft goods, it's nice, does its job fine. Nice articulation here, ankle articulation, waist swivels, so you can get this guy in an array of poses for sure. Get him to smoke a J, too, apparently. We all know Yoda's on the good life. The cane's a little flimsy, though. I mean, I understand that it's supposed to be, but it's just a little flimsy. Yeah, I mean, it's a good figure. He has a snake. He has a little canteen thing. He's good. I mean, there's not much to say about him. Lightsaber's cool. Again, I appreciate it as a bonus, as someone who doesn't keep their figures carded, but if I ever do recard the figure, I'm not putting the lightsaber in it, probably. So that's cool. He doesn't have a hook, though. No way to hook it to his belt, because he didn't hook any lightsaber to his belt, since he didn't have one. Anyhow, onward to the next. Alrighty, this one here is certainly my favorite from the wave. I bought Han and Leia originally together. They were the first two figures. When I first found these on the shelf, those were the ones that were there, so I kind of freaked out and bought them both. And the first one I saw was Leia, and I really fell in love with it right at first glance. She's just beautiful. Rest in peace, Carrie Fisher, but this is a faithful Carrie Fisher figure. Let's get the packaging. Alright. She's just so pretty with that blue. I mean, this is just, for a shelf, if you have it displayed like this, I mean, it's really just special. It does nothing but good for the presentation as compared to the Luke. So the package, it's suffering from the same issue that all the others are, with the cut off, like, you can see our hand there, you can see more of it. Then there, it's just really cut off right at her thumb, base of her thumb, so don't know what's up with that. Also, this appears to be a little darker, a little less saturated. This is a little warmer, don't know why. But yeah, this one is also, I think, aside from Boba Fett, this is my second favorite retro figure, or retro throwback figure. Yeah, so still suffering from the same issue with that deep bubble, so for carded collectors it's a little weird having a bubble that sticks out so much. I'd rather you had maybe brought it down about that much. It looks like there's about that much space from the figure to the card. Still trying to figure out why they do that. I think maybe it's, some people say it's so you can like see behind the figure. I don't know if that's true. It doesn't seem like you'd be able to, but I wouldn't know. I haven't really tried all too much. Anyhow, she's great. She still suffers from the same issues I have with all black series, like these hideous double knee joints that I don't know who asked for them. I mean, this looks fine actually right here, but the second you, it's so stiff. The second you move that one, it looks so weird, and it looks like her leg broke in half, honestly. So that's a little safer. They've started, it's really tight. They've started phasing that out on some of their newer releases, but for the most part, we're gonna see that in this collection, unfortunately, especially in Wave 3, because there are more repacks there. So I'm not really looking forward to that, but we will see. Her face looks great. Just a great figure. She's a little annoyed. That's when her and Han were having a romantic altercation on Hoth. The braids look great. It's having some issue focusing. There you go. The texturing on her vest looks really stunning, quite honestly. You can actually see where the fabric pulls and buckles towards the seam. Let's see. There you go. It looks really quite beautiful. And all the padding here on the cold weather insulated, I don't know, jumpsuit type thing. Though I don't know if it's a jumpsuit because there's like a bell here, but I know this one's also a recard, like I mentioned. I don't think the original figure that was in, I think the Black Series Red Collection that we're phasing out of now, just the black and red box, I don't think it came with this vest, so not really sure what's up with that, but I'm glad we got the vest. I mean, it's accurate, so all for accuracy. Remember, accuracy over articulation, folks. She can't really hold her gun, haven't really been able to get her to hold it. It doesn't really reach, and I don't want to stretch her finger out like that, so I kind of just have her hold her goggles. Oops, not really too well at that. She can just hold her goggles there, looking like she took them off. And they also fit on her head quite nicely here. Let's see. Oop. Like that, looking like Willy Wonka, or you could just have them up like so. So she's ready to go, ready for the fight. But yeah, see, she doesn't have any of that weird paint texturing that I mentioned on that Bespin Luke. I mean, look at the difference there. And I know his clothing, I mean, I think his clothing was a little dirty from Dagobah, but I remember his clothing being kind of clean, actually, when he got to Cloud City. I think he looked kind of spanking new. So I don't know. If I'm remembering totally incorrectly, tell me, but I feel like I always watch the scene where he arrives in Cloud City, and I'm like, oh, like looking good, man. So that's a Leia. She's solid. I'm not a fan of the crotch piece here on any Black Series figures, but I chose to buy Black Series, so I can't even criticize that because, I mean, you can see that even before you open the box. But yeah, I mean, she's just a nice figure. I mean, not too much to say. Gun isn't really painted, just the metallic on the tip. Nice sculpt though for sure, but it sucks she can't hold it. And this thing is cool too. Looks real good. And I'm not going to complain about, paint detailing. I'm not really a stickler for that. Though I will show off, if you look at the little badge on her vest, that looks real good. I think those are what ranks? I'm assuming, because it's a military alliance. There we go. Okay. This figure is, in my opinion, the best Black Series Deckard figure we've gotten thus far. He's just... It looks like Harrison Ford. Looks great, just like the Blade Runner Classic. I mean, no, in all seriousness, this could very well just be a figure of Deckard from Blade Runner because it just looks that much like Harrison Ford. I will say, I mean, there's something that's a little bit off. I don't know how to explain it, but it's more than likely the 3D face printing on the plastic. It sometimes gives it that glossy finish. And while this is like absolutely by all means a fantastic Harrison Ford like face, I mean it looks like Harrison Ford, it will always be a piece of plastic, and it's Black Series, not SH Figure Arts, not Sideshow. So the likeness is always going to be, not perfect, but I'm gonna go over the package, and then we're gonna talk about the figure more. The package is good. It suffers from the same issues all of these packages are suffering from. Just like the Vintage Collection Han Solo figure, you can see the doorway, you can see his whole elbow. You can see just more of the image. And here it's that same squared off looking package versus that round bubble. I do prefer the round bubble. The Vintage Collection and this figure suffer from the same issue I've been bringing up with all the figures, where the figures are just so far from the card back itself. So, yeah, I mean, that's what we're given. Here it's a little bit less of an image, more of a bubble. I guess they have their reasons, but I don't like them. Also, something that I failed to mention earlier in the review, very odd, very important to bring up though. Hasbro seems to have opted out of including this little, you see this little plastic protector here? This is so, if someone yanks on it on the peg at Walmart or Target, wherever, it doesn't rip. So you will almost never find a Vintage Collection figure that has a completely ripped peg slot, or whatever this punch out is called. And I like that. Even if this gets bent, even if it, it's pressure, it'll crease, whatever, it'll never totally rip unless this plastic piece comes off. And Hasbro's still well aware of this because this figure came out at the same time as this figure. So they released a 3 3/4 inch alongside the 6 inch, just like they did with the Luke figure. So I don't know what's up with that. But I will say, the retros have an even more different plastic protector. So this one, while it has it only on the top here, right there, you see it, it's like angular and it doesn't cover the bottom. This actually covers around the entire slot. So it's plastic all the way around. So there's absolutely no way this can tear unless the plastic comes off. And in that case, more than likely, like it would actually tear off part of the card back decor there. So, I mean, these are the winners here for sure. Again, I just don't understand the inconsistencies, Hasbro. I don't know how you can do 3 different things at the same damn time. Alright, for accuracy's sake, we're going to get out the Vintage Collection Han Solo as well, just to compare. I will be very firm on this, though, is I don't like that this Han came with the goggles, and I mean, first of all, he looks god awful wearing them. Leia actually can rock hers, so like she actually looks cool. She actually could pull off a good Willy Wonka impression. But I mean, this guy here, I mean, he looks like, I don't know, man. He looks like, you know, those kids when we were younger, there would be the kid playing basketball with like these protective goggles on because they were scared of getting their eyes scratched. He looks like that kid. But so I'm really torn though. I did mention that the likeness to Harrison Ford on the 6-inch figures really, really good, but I did fail to mention thus far that this one's also really good, and I don't know which one looks more like Harrison Ford. I feel like one looks like a younger Harrison Ford, this one, and this one looks like an older Harrison Ford. This could almost be a Force Awakens Harrison Ford if you just pay me for every time I say Harrison Ford, Harrison Ford, Harrison Ford. This just looks older. He looks a lot more aged, more stressed. I don't know what's up with that. This almost looks like post-Carbonite Han, but there's something a little off about this face. While it does look like Han, like, I'm very, very pleased with how this looks. He's just not, like, as attractive as Harrison Ford. I mean, Harrison Ford's a very attractive guy, and at the time of Empire, I would say he looked closer to this. I mean, this guy definitely has more of, like, a Ken doll appeal, whereas this one's just, like, the rugged space pirate Han Solo. Deckard. the Hunter Deckard. Again, though, I do not like these double jointed knees here. These flat knees really bug me. And this just looks so much better to me. It looks like a real knee, like a real fucking knee. I mean, as real as a piece of plastic can get, but anywho, these both are good figures. They're both very different. I don't understand it. I know this is a recard. Not sure about this one. If anyone knows, but I'm gonna do my own review of this figure. So, anywho, yeah, he's good. Comes with the same gun as Bespin Luke, same holster as well as Bespin Luke, except for how it attaches here. Same pants as Yavin Luke, which important to note. But the printing job is different. Once again, these were released at the same time, but the print job's different. And I just don't understand the inconsistencies, Hasbro. Also, the texture and the gloss coat on the boots. This one has, not to review this figure, I know we're not reviewing this one, but this one's matte. The foot's matte, the boot's shiny, and this is just all through matte. I think it looks so, oh wait, no, yeah, and the boot's a little more shiny than the shoe's a little more shiny than the boot, but it has that leathery feel that I think they were going for, which, that's nice, they nailed that. Again, though, I mean, just like on Leia, the texturing here on the shirt is great. Of course, I'm more of a fan of appearance than articulation, so we could have gone without this joint here, as long as it meant, you know, there wasn't a giant line there, but, I mean, I'll deal with it. Again, like, Leia doesn't have... Oh, Leia actually moves from her pelvis, whereas Han moves from his waist. I do myself prefer the pelvis joint. I mean, he's a good figure. I like the texturing here. The folds are nice on the jacket. I do prefer this to soft goods for this sort of texturing any day, for sure. Nice belt. Got a nice belt texture there. He has two belts, actually. He has the holster belt and then the pants belt holding his pants up. So, I mean, he's cool. I mean, it's definitely a good figure. 10 out of 10. Not really. It's good, though. I think that's it. Yeah, he only came with one whopping accessory, so that's crazy. I mean, to think, like, Leia came with an extra lightsaber that he didn't need, and Han couldn't even come with the goggles, or, the fix-em you got there. Instead, they gave it to Leia. It's just so odd to me, the inconsistencies, Hasbro, and I don't know if that's like a ploy to incentivize people to buy the figures or what, but, I mean, I guess it worked, question mark? I didn't buy the figures because of that, though. I just bought the figure because I like 3 3/4 inch on my wall, and I like 6 inch on my shelf, and that's just how I like it. And I'll probably like it. As sad as it is, as shitty as you make figures, I'll probably still buy them, but that's actually not true. Also, I should mention on the packaging, there's this, it's a lot different to open than the Vintage Collection. Vintage Collection, typically what I do is I slide an X-Acto knife under this little pocket here that has a gap, and I'll just cut away, and huzzah. With this one, though, my girlfriend and I had, she's surprisingly really good at opening packages. I recently just got her into the whole collecting game. That's actually how I got back into it, because we both just kind of started collecting these, and this kind of started everything. Again, now I have about 30 things to review. But they have these plastic latches here, and it looks like they break away, so you're supposed to be able to, like, tear it off, but I just, you know, put the X-Acto knife under that little air pocket there with no glue, and just slid it across there like so. And I opened it from the inside instead of the outside, but I mean, how to the same effect, I guess, right? Alright, we have lastly the AT-AT driver, or the AT-AT driver, however you prefer. I will say this is my favorite carded figure. I was contemplating the other day in Walmart. I saw one in Best Buy, I saw one in Walmart. I was totally contemplating getting another one because of how sick these guys look in the package, but considering I want to review a lot of other shit, I really did not want to waste the money. But either way, I mean, seriously, like, sick-ass looking figure in front of the card. The yellow's badass. I'm so glad that Kenner made that executive decision way back in the day, because we all know Hasbro's just following whatever Kenner did at this point. They're not being too creative, so it's not like, you know, this is Hasbro's credit. It's to Kenner's credit for doing that back in the day. So props to Kenner for picking that badass photo. I know it's one of the only appearances of the AT-AT driver, but regardless, it's still cool. Still, actually this one's a little better. Look, the bubble itself comes really close to the card back, so they did better here than they did on the other ones. And I do recall, actually, that in the package, this guy sits, here, I'll show you, he sits pretty deep into the bubble. So he's like really swimming down in there. He's really in there. And, I mean, I'm not going to put his gun in, but, I mean, he looks damn cool. And you see how well we open these. I mean, you can't even really tell it's open from far away, quite honestly, until you do that. And it's like, oh, breakaway. But, yeah, again, super close to the card back, so I prefer that distance gap instead of, like, one that's all the way up there, like, I think the Han and the Leia and the Luke. Yoda was pretty bad, actually. I think he was the worst of the wave. So, 10 out of 10 for the packaging. Again, it's still suffering from that same issue where some of the image is cut off this way, horizontally, but it's excusable here just because I feel like enough is still fit in to the frame, like it still looks good enough. So that works. When you're doing a portrait, like, I think on Yoda it works fine too. It's the same effect. When you're doing, like, sort of something that's more directly like just a portrait, or somewhat like Yoda's smaller, so it works. But when you're cutting off a larger image with like a lot of horizontal negative space that you have to work with, like Han resting his elbow on the door, it gets a little janky. And also with like Leia's hand getting cut off, it gets a little weird. So anyhow, let's talk about this guy. This guy here takes the cake for the wave. I really like Leia, Han, and the AT-AT the most. I think the Yoda's also like great. I really, really do. But for some reason, I just have a little bit of a hard time believing that this is the Yoda from Empire. I don't know why. I don't get that old man feel the same way that I got from Empire Yoda. But it's still just, I look at it and I'm like, yeah, this is Yoda. Sick. So, I mean, the figure's great, but the AT-AT driver is just, there's nothing really that I feel sincerely negative about with him. Like with Bespin Luke, there were so many objective faults. But, I mean, this guy's great. He holds his gun perfect. I mean, it literally went in, like, immediately. I mean, the chest piece thing looks great. Mine has a little white scuff there on his left eyepiece, but most of them don't have that. The little Empire emblems there on either side look really good, and they're printed pretty evenly too. Mine has a little red stripe in the middle. I don't know if you can see, but I'll try to show you on the actual card back. There's a little red dot or red square there, and mine comes just above the little frowny ventilator, so a little weird. Kind of obstructs the flow. I just noticed that today, actually, doing the first cut of the review that didn't make it. I chopped that one off. But, yeah, I mean, this one just looks real good. All the paint apps are just great here. These tubes, the ventilator tubes, look awesome. They're like this flexible plastic material. I'm always amazed how there's so many different kinds of plastics and different textures you can make with plastic, and it's phenomenal to me. I mean, to think that this is plastic and you can move it and it won't break, and this is like hard, and this is like you can bend it too and it won't break, but this is so sturdy. It's really great. I mean, it's great that Hasbro is able to use different kinds of plastics like that. Also, for some reason, this is the only figure where I'm okay with the double knee joint. I don't know why exactly. I think in my head, maybe it's because since he doesn't have a human face, I don't even register him as a human, even though obviously I know like there's a human behind the AT-AT driver mask. He just looks like he's pointing. We want you for the Empire. Join us. So, you know, when I see a human with these knees, I'm like, oh, that's not how human knees are, but this guy could damn well be a robot, some type of droid for all I know, but obviously he's not. But I think by seeing, like, the human face, I'm expecting human accuracy, and seeing this human face with, like, these joints, it's just janky and weird, and, oh god, I hate this figure so much. It's weird that he's selling for so much at some comic shops, and it's purely just because he's Bespin Luke. I mean, it looks so bad, I don't know. I mean, some people have been really positive about this figure, but I hate it. This figure is great. I mean, when I love a figure, it's really a damn shame. I don't have a lot to say about it. I mean, I could keep praising the texturing on the boots here. I could keep praising the texturing on, you know, here the pockets, the way these fold, the pocket indications there. I mean, I do have one complaint, really, and it's just like an overarching Black Series complaint that I have with every Black Series figure I own. I don't like the crotch. I forget if I mentioned that or not because this is kind of a long video. But the crotch piece is not great, and I like the wider crotch piece that we're seeing on the vintage collection nowadays. It works better. This kind of just looks like a dick. And when I'm looking at someone's crotch, I already think of a dick, so if I'm seeing the dick, it's just making me think of a dick even more. Hasbro, I mean, if you're listening, it might be worth reconsidering the design of this, but it seems to be something you're really, really keen on for some reason. But this just looks worlds better, and I just don't understand why they can't just make this figure but bigger, right? I don't get it. I mean, I also have I don't know where. I was actually about to compare it, but I have an old 3 3/4 inch AT-AT driver, and they basically just... Actually, I want to go find it. 1 second. Okay, I found him, and wow, I was wrong. This one looks kind of janky. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the figure. I've had it since I'm a kid. And quite honestly, I forget what series he was even in, like what packaging he came in, but this one just looks so pathetic and weak. It looks like a little kid wearing a giant oversized helmet. But the cool thing is, I mean, I guess that's the reason why is because it has a removable helmet. Though I don't understand the point because, you know, you can't really have it doing anything else but this, because if you take the whole thing off, you just have a giant hole in the chest. And I don't even know where they got this face because it looks like a clone, but it doesn't look like a clone. And it's just so weird. And it's baffling that this guy sells for $23 loose and only $25. Oh, it sells for $20 loose and $23 mint on card. I know that because I was taking notes when I was selling some of my collection last year. And I didn't manage to sell this one. I just sold a lot of my old Clone Wars stuff because I noticed Hasbro's re-releasing Clone Wars era stuff, but like very realistic style, like Black Series. Like they're taking Clone Wars figures and making them look like they're real actors, like the Ahsoka figure they're releasing. and the Rebels figures they're releasing, so I figured, like, hell, I'd rather buy those, because, I don't know, why not? Like, the Rex looks really, really cool. That Phase 2 Rex in Black Series is amazing, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about him, and, I guess my main thing I really love about this guy is, you know, his legs. I like this crotch piece more than this here. I mean, I like that you can do this, but I mean, how often am I gonna be doing like something like that? You know, he's a pretty stagnant figure. For the most part, I'm gonna be posing him like this. And I'm not sure which is more accurate, if this is supposed to be this long to his knees here, or if this is accurate. I like the way this looks more with the asymmetry of the way this is wrapped around too. Oh man, but I'll be honest, I really miss these rubber bands from the old days, like from early 2000s, mid 2000s. The rubber bands with the hands. It's just like I mean, if I probably tried to take this off now, it'll probably just break, but it's just keeping the gun in there. I think Star Wars figures always suck at holding their guns. Yeah, I mean, in the way of printing, I mean, Hasbro's really come a long way. Even though I know this is a repackage of a previous Black Series, it's just crazy to look at these side by side, because this just looks so right to me. So, I mean, anyhow, the figure basically just kicks ass. There's nothing really glaringly offensive. So in conclusion, we have best to worst, in my subjective opinion that shouldn't really matter to anyone else, but maybe if you're watching this far in the video, it matters. So I think this is the best, I think that's the second best, third best, fourth best, and this, I hate this Luke so much. Again, it was an obligatory purchase. So he's just not even in the frame. But I really, really think there's nothing I can even want to fix in terms of, like, yeah, Black Series has issues just because of its predisposition, but the Leia and the AT-AT driver are just so well done. I still think there's something slightly off about the Yoda, and just because of, for the sake of carded collecting, I'm gonna drop points on this one, because the lightsaber shouldn't be there. It's a nice bonus, but sometimes, you know, when it's not needed, it's not needed. I know, like, carded, you know, classic, you know, purist collectors wouldn't want that. So, and then the Han, just because of how much the other 3 3/4 inch Han looks like Harrison Ford, and how much this one looks like Harrison Ford, I feel like both of them are just off in some way that I can't quite figure out, but I think this one's head is a little too narrow. I think that might be what it is. His head's a little long, like maybe Woody from Toy Story or something. Oh, this actually looks like a human Woody. That's what I'm thinking of, yeah. Looks like a human Woody more than Han Solo. Or equally so, I guess. But one thing I will bring up before I end this video, thanks for watching this far if you did, by the way. There's a glaring inconsistency that I have a huge problem with Black Series. So you see this guy holds his stand great. I mean, this guy's just staying on a stand, no problem. Stand stays on his feet. The peg, for the most part, it goes mostly in. I mean, there's a little bit of space there between the stand and the foot. But, I mean, he stays well enough that I don't care. Leia, on the other hand, doesn't. The only way she's standing is because she's just standing. I mean, really, it's no different to have her on the peg. So it's because the hole is too wide and it's too shallow. On the other hand, Yoda stays, but the hole's really shallow, so it's just barely in there. So that's as far in as it can go. So they should have really put it on the back of the foot, but they put the holes in the front of the foot where the foot is more shallow. I just don't understand why you wouldn't put it at the base of the foot where, you know, you have all the room to go in towards the ankle. Han also, giant foot holes, does not hold his stand. He's just on the stand because I think it looks pretty, and it, you know, I guess the peg can help a little bit. Luke goes mostly in. He holds the stand fine, and I fucking hate it because I hate the figure, but I mean, it's fine. He's doing his thing. It's fine. I mean, we all know Vader won anyways, so all is well in the Empire. Have a beautiful day, all of you. Thank you for watching my video.